People over 35, how often do you party or go out past 3 a.m. nowadays? And why that amount? Basically never. Like paying what is being asked for drinks or most food, being at a loud place and not being able to understand people, and kinda don't like being intoxicated other than devil's lettuce altogether. Could of course go on and talk about how you could use the time more productively, and the next day is lost too. But it never held me back when I was younger, and honestly if I liked it, it wouldn't now. So yeah. I just don't like going out, and I dread the few annual events where I feel obligated to. There just really isn't a place to be out at 3 a.m. unless you're part of the party clubbing scene. Literally the only things open that late are bars or clubs. I would also guess the number of social groups still doing that in their 30s dwindles significantly, too. I stay up super late all the time at home, and with friends even, but there's no point in being out that late. 3 a.m. is also just really late for anyone. Don't think that's really a good measure. Even when I went out to bars in big cities, the 3 a.m. crowd was really small. Most young people are long gone by then too. Never. It's not worth my work suffering or not being able to chop away and the endless number of tasks and projects as a homeowner. That and my body literally cannot do it anymore. When I was 25, I'd drink all night, wake up at 3:30 a.m., do hard manual labor all day in the sun, often after commuting for hours, rinse and repeat. There would even be time for the gym in there too. I work in a cush office job now, and the slightest hangover throws a wrench in the whole day. Plus, I'm tired of waking up feeling embarrassed about something I may or may not have said done. Like most people in the situation I'm in, married, kids, job, mortgage, etc. That doesn't happen hardly ever, especially if you're involved with your family and job, which means you need to be 100 and on point for both. To give a better answer to the getting into a career field where both the quality and consistency of your work rivals the output was the first true game changer. Family life just makes you double down. Getting fucked up on a Thursday night with my old Barfly friend group doesn't even register on the fun radar anymore. Impressions, no communication possible. Smelly, sweaty bodies. People on all kinds of drugs, hard drugs like alcohol and cocaine, all the way down to the more innocent fun things. And let's be honest, nothing fun happens after 1 a.m. It's just the sad people that stick around that long, getting more and more drunk because it's socially acceptable, and they couldn't score someone to go home with. I'd much rather read books, play games, cuddle with my cats, clean the house, and sleep in no particular order. I'm a night owl with a swing shift job, so any night I'm drinking can go until 5 a.m. I wouldn't really call it partying though. I don't think anything I do fits that terminology anymore. I've cut back on it substantially in recent years since the hangovers are really bad now. Not drinking at the moment, but when I do it's usually once every week or two. Lost my main drinking buddy I had left since I tried to kiss her recently, and she didn't like that, so I'm not sure when this will happen again. There has been exactly 2 times where I'm out of the house after 3 a.m. in the past year, and both times were due to structure fires in our town. As a volunteer firefighter, when the sirens start, I wake up. About 15 seconds later, my pager starts ringing, and I'm getting dressed. Then that, I'm in bed before midnight, and I try to stay there until at least 6 a.m. unless it's an on-site week. At work, and I have to get up at 4:30 a.m. and be in my car by 5:15 a.m. to drive to the office. Just turned 21 and I never party after 1 a.m. if I'm not staying over there for the night. High transportation costs and getting a bus or a taxi is very time-consuming, expensive and physically exhausting. Crowded public transportation after midnight where I live. This is when I was 18-19. Now 21, I never initiate if invited to day party or something, going partying till midnight if it isn't in between 3 kilometers to my house. I now value my comfort more. Extremely rarely. I really can't do all-nighters anymore. I have things to do the next day, and I'm not down to spend an entire Saturday, Sunday in bed. I'll always go out for birthdays, etc., but ain't no way I'm staying out past 1 a.m. And even that's pushing it. I realized as I've gotten older that day drinking is absolutely the way to go. If I have partied, been out after 3 a.m. in the past few years, I've been at home or someone else's house, or on vacation. I'm almost 34. Just went out from about 7:30–1:00. It was a fun time, but that was enough for me. As annoying as the phrase may be, nothing good ever happens after midnight, is pretty accurate. As someone with a young kid at home, my city is like a whole new world that I haven't experienced in years during the late night bar hours. Mind you, I used to close these bars down and black out once a week, not recognizing that as a problem at the time. Probably once every 6 months or so. I'll have a getting home after 3:00 a.m. night. To bounce back the next day can be a bit rough. But I 41F never regret it. When we first moved to my current city, I went out more often. Now that I'm secure in my friend group, it's enough just to be asked. I don't get FOMO when I decide not to go out. I save it for special occasions. My community has a high turnover, so it's usually someone's going away party. I love how these are always assuming it's due to age. I've never liked staying up late. I've been a morning person since I was born. I've always hated staying up. As for the question, if I'm ever up that late, it's because I social dance and they run until 11 p.m. I could also go until 12 or 1 a.m. Depending on if I'm starving after dancing and need to eat and how far it is to drive home. I might be up that late. Happens probably once a month. In 36. Even in my teens and 20s, I wasn't trying to be out past 3 a.m. I've always been a home by midnight 1 a.m. person. I still do that occasionally, but usually for a specific reason, birthday event, not just because it's the weekend. Once a month, sometimes more, and again it's usually related to birthdays, celebrations, not just cause. It's the weekend, and it's limited to the weekends cause I'm usually up for work between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. I'm 40. I've been awake past 3 a.m. once in the past 10 or so years when my mom was in the hospital. In my 20s, I would see the sunrise multiple times per month. I learned how important sleep is to health and decide to prioritize sleep over chasing some kind of excitement that never seemed to pay off. My mum always told me that nothing good happens after midnight. I spent over 30 years trying to prove her wrong. Alas, she was right. I will stay up for New Year's, but even then probably not until 3 a.m. I ever enjoy clubs, so most social events are where you can have a conversation, and a conversation with a drunk is pointless and draining. So I rarely stay that long at any party. I do game until 3 a.m. if there's a highly anticipated launch of something I've been looking forward to. That's also rare though, because after 30, being tired is similar to a hangover, and fuck that. Had a really fun 20s. Party till I was 30 for before kids. Got pregnant at 35 and haven't been out past 9 p.m. in years. Like other people have mentioned, the thought of having a hangover with kids sounds like a bad idea. Even if I didn't have to care for them. Kids are louder and being under the same roof sounds terrible. Also, no one wants to see a suburban mom trying to relive her 20s and be able to handle herself at the bar. I still partied quite hard in my early 30s, but I'd say at 33–34 it just turned on a dime. I hate hangovers and being useless now. I absolutely hate really loud music to haha all the time for supper, or a party at somebody's house and we have a great time. I just have absolutely no interest in going out, unless it's like a quiet bar or the casino to play cards or something. Don't have the kids or family agree to take them. Past 3 p.m. is even a toss-up, seeing as nap time for the kids is 12:33, and getting us to go out after is a big ask depending on how much I like you. We definitely do it for our best friends who have kids, and thus ways to entertain our kids and places in their homes to put our kids to sleep if we want to stay past 8 p.m. but it's rare. When I worked swing shift, I'd hit a bar on the way home, just so I would get so depressed about doing nothing but work, eat, sleep. And to be fair, it was usually a race to make it for last call. I'd meet up with friends and invite them over to my place for a few more beers or two sober up. Before going home, it usually went to 3 a.m, but it didn't start till 1 a.m. I haven't seen 3 a.m. socially in about a decade. I'm 44. I've never enjoyed clubs. They are no fun to me right now. I enjoy craft breweries, and I like going to areas where there's something to do. I don't mind drinking and getting drunk, but I start earlier now because there is usually nothing open past 10 that I like to do. I can only tolerate sitting and drinking for so long before I get bored and then tired. I have to get up and do something. Maybe 1 or 2 times a year. I partied my ass off in my teens and 20s, enough to last me the rest of my life. Being hungover in your 30s and later really hurts the body law. I enjoy a nice meal and my sleep. I don't need to see it come back up or sleep on a toilet. My kids wake up early no matter what as well, and they are always hungry in the morning. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Maybe once a year. It is normally some planned occasion, like a concert, where a bunch of my buddies and I go out of town. Getting home at 11:00 would be a late night out for me and my wife. I hate being hungover and I always have stuff I want to do. Why waste the next day recovering? In my 20s, out to all 3 nights a week, recovered by noon the next day, and ready to go again. What the saying? Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. if I can go out at 5 or 6. Dinner, meet up or opera theatre by 8. Leave by 11 and bed by midnight. I am a happy creature. Bed by 1 a.m. is acceptable if it was a really good party, and I left venue at closing time. Besides, hangovers last like 3 days now, and I'm generally up at 5. I don't have time for that nonsense.